Hello, and welcome to the Mellowcast, the official podcast of the Mellow Fellows. And joining me today, we have an absolute legend, a man, a myth, an icon of getting hit in Dark Souls. You may know him as ZeroSaltShow, Josh, Tiny. He is a bunch of different names, but I will let him introduce himself right now.
My God, you've built me up so much, Alex. And I honestly like the intros. I'm starstruck, I gotta say. But yeah, I'm Josh. I'm over at Zero Salt Show. That's me in a nutshell. Alex pretty much summed me up very, very well. I play a lot of Dark Souls, and that's kind of been my life for the last, I don't know, 3 months probably. Lots of Dark Souls, maybe a little bit of being a student too.
I mean, I'd say more than 3 months.
Yeah, okay,
It's a lot.
But I was being casual for a while there. Okay, I'm only just now a hardcore gamer. I haven't wasted 6 months of my life, Alex. I don't know what you're trying to insinuate here, but
Can we have like a discussion how you were a casual when you were a samurai, and now that you're a show, you're a hardcore?
ooh, this is actually yeah. So if you want the official reason, it's because the samurai university or the samurai certification offices found out that I went to a phony samurai school, and they revoked my samurai license once they found out that my certificate was a phony. But I've been telling people that it's just easier to brand around Zero Salt Show because I didn't know how to brand around samurai.
Exactly, like you are far too deadly to really be a samurai, and you also smile a lot, which kind of gets rid of the whole samurai thing, unfortunately. You also have very good hair, which kind of has an effect.
Oh, and as do you, Alex. Oh my gosh, this is a podcast filled with people with lovely hair, which of course nobody can see. So you just have to take our words for it.
Exactly, dude. My hair is feeling nice today, nice and soft. Smells like fruit.
So I've been wondering, what do you do to get your hair so long and luxurious and soft like that?
All right, so back when I was in middle
What's your
school,
hair routine?
Okay, we're gonna summarize all this up because we're gonna go all the way back to 2004 when I was in middle school. I was like in the 8th grade, and I used to have a buzz cut, and then I was like, you know what, yeah, it was great. It was a great buzz cut. But then I was like, I love pro wrestling. I really want my hair long. I want to be a wrestler when I grow up. Let me just kind of live my dreams as a child. And I'm like, I'm not getting a haircut anymore. I'm gonna grow this out. And then I realized that I have like naturally like really good hair. I do nothing to my hair. I just shampoo it and condition it like every day. I know you're not supposed to do shampoo every day, but I do. And it just kind of glows out like nice, long, luxurious, feels good. Not really thinning out. I'm getting some gray patches though.
Oh, that's actually really exciting. Like I don't
is.
know how you feel about gray, but I personally that would be like, oh my gosh, it's my first little memento of, I don't know, being old or overstressed.
One way of putting it.
Yeah, but so basically the secret to having such good hair is just have good hair.
Exactly. Mine grows out like nice and straight. Like it's just I do nothing to it. It just happens.
So with the whole like I'm kind of like, as I know you, you're into wrestling. You have this preference for like harder rock and metal music, if I'm not mistaken. I have this association between that and like skateboarding to some extent. Did you ever skateboard as a kid?
So I did a lot of BMX as a kid. I was very heavily into that.
Oh, okay.
But I also did dabble in skateboarding. My problem was I ended up getting hurt a lot.
Oh my gosh.
To which I'm still paying for to this day, like really badly.
Yep.
And then a lot of the people I would ride bikes with or skateboards with and whatnot kind of moved away. So I was just kind of like on my lonesome, and it just wasn't as much fun doing that like alone. But I used to like kind of like do like stunts and like go off ramps and stuff. It was fun when I was way younger.
What was the hardest trick you were able to pull off, or the one that you learned to do?
Superman.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty dangerous stuff there.
Yeah. So I was probably like 13 when I did that, like off like a really shady
Wow.
ramp that we made like out of a log, like 3 nails, and like a piece of plywood.
Did you? I mean, I assume you landed it.
Yeah, I landed one.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, so you said you got injured. What was like the worst injury you think you got
So
pulling off these insane stunts?
So I've done a lot of stuff in life, and I can't like really relay which injury happened from what. I've broken
Right.
my arm in 3 places, and I've never got like full flexibility back in my left arm. I've knocked my head
Oof.
around way too many times. Like I'm sure I've probably got a concussion once before, but no diagnosis on that.
Right.
I have
So
scars like all over my knees and my elbows because I never wore elbow pads and knee pads because I was a moron. So, I mean, like
you've been bumped around a fair amount.
I'm hurting. I'm hurting.
Yeah, I did skateboarding for a while and I kind of stopped for similar reasons. Because I I am very clumsy naturally. I'm a bit of a klutz, and skateboarding does not pair super well with that. And
Now,
probably after like a month of just casual skateboarding, the way that this happened is extremely embarrassing. I was riding down the street just back to my house, um, and I hit a pebble and I fell, and I was wearing a backpack and I didn't know how to fall properly, and I caught myself using my hands, which is the last thing you're supposed to do whenever you're skateboarding, and dislocated my arm. And I occasionally get little like twinges of pain in my elbow from that. And but and then there were a couple of other things where I was just like, oh, I hit my knee a bunch of times, and I was like, all right, if I keep doing this, I'm gonna break myself. So I had to stop. But I did manage to pull off a kickflip once,
one whole time.
one whole time on
Beautiful.
grass.
That's why you got to do it.
Yeah. So, but I got to a point where I could ollie pretty consistently, and I could pull off some shove-its and occasionally a manual. So, I had fun with it. I still want to go back to doing that sometime, but I think I would probably stick more to like longboarding, just for the sake of not hurting myself. And it's good cardio and stuff.
Yeah. Or like even like go to a skate park, which tend to be like a lot smoother and like
Yeah.
are surrounded by
I,
people that know what they're doing too, who can help you
I
out.
was like, I was so intimidated going to a skate park because I went to one a couple of times. I'm sorry, I'm holding my cat right now, and he is purring really loudly. I don't know if the mic is picking it up, but if
Didn't
so, then
even know, but now we have the
enjoy
visual.
the dusty purrs. I wonder if I could actually get him close enough to where the mic would pick it up. My goodness, he's just going. Anyway, I was intimidated going to skate parks because I knew that there were people there that were going to be really good. And occasionally you will run into somebody that, like, is kind of a jerk about the fact that you're new and you suck. But most of them are so nice and so, like, willing to help you out. And I was so surprised.
Well, the thing is, I think this kind of like applies to anything, be it skate parks, be it concerts, whatever. If there's someone like kind of like new to the thing or like still like learning like the entire scene that you're going to, a lot of people are more often than not like really willing to try and get more people into that because that's just kind of good for
Yeah.
the future of what they're doing. So it's like if not to segue, we're gonna segue back to skateboarding in a second, but like I know whenever
Yeah.
I used to go to like metal shows and I was really into metal, like all the metalheads would find people that were kind of going with friends that maybe didn't like metal and would just like try and like pick up conversation, figure out like what they like, what they don't like, pass around like band recommendations to try and get more people into that scene. And it's
Yeah.
kind of
It's
like
like
the same thing like at a skate
ingraining them
park.
into the culture a bit.
Yeah, and like you said, like you're also gonna
Okay.
have like those people that are like a bit of a dick, and they're going to just try and act like they're better than everyone else, like they're more hardcore,
Right.
and like that happens in online games, obviously, and like you said, like at a skate park. Look at how good I am. Give me attention. I need attention right now. Stop doing
Yeah. And
kickflips.
it happens with like every single thing or hobby with a passionate, user base. Like you have, and you look at like metal and skateboarding and stuff like that, and it totally falls into the realm of like, these people have a strong passion for these things. And it definitely goes into gaming too. where it's like there's a very vocal minority of people that just want to gatekeep and be like, no, you aren't good enough for this, or I'm better than you. But most of the time, the people that do that like aren't the most passionate about it anyways. I feel like.
No, 100%. Like, I deal with that kind of gatekeeping all the time because, as you know, as a
Yeah.
Dark Souls person, Dark Souls has some very passionate people. And every
Right.
time I
Oh
bring
yeah.
up how I want, like, just an easier mod or, like, an easier mode in Dark Souls so I can enjoy it,
Scrub.
you would think the world was ending and that I should, like,
Yeah.
revoke my entire card to playing video games.
You're not a real hardcore gamer.
No, I'm
But
not. I like casually playing stuff.
Imagine wanting to casually play a video game, right?
Exactly.
But I find like, you know, with my kind of going through learning to play Dark Souls hitless, the people that have done Dark Souls hitless are the people that are super, you know, that have done world record speedruns and stuff like that. And the people that are in kind of that like upper, it sounds weird to describe it this way, but that kind of like upper echelon of like, you know, the best players, like those people are always so nice and so like kind and willing to do, you know, what it takes to help you like what they like.
100%. I'm not sure like who's like even at the top anymore. Is Faraz like one of them still?
Yeah, Faraz doesn't do a whole lot of Dark Souls anymore. He's kind of moved on to other things, which I do not blame him. He's played thousands and thousands of hours of Dark Souls, and I think he's just been ready for other stuff. Lately, he's been doing, I think, Star Wars and routing no hit for that, which is pretty cool. And then same thing with like Hob, and I know Squilla is still doing no hit stuff as well. And those are kind of like the big three that come to mind when I think of Dark Souls no hit stuff.
Now, within no hit, like, is there like any timer on it? Like, is it like also part speed run, or is it just like people just go for hitless and that's it?
Well, the cool thing about it is there's no rule. I mean, there are rules, but the stipulations are kind of decided by the runner most of the time. There isn't really like an overarching committee that decides what is real hitless and what is fake hitless. But you know, with tournaments and stuff like that, it's varied. There are times where they will take whoever has the fastest speed on a no hit run, and they'll say, "Okay, you win," or I don't know. It varies based on what people are trying to do and what they want to curate their experience to. Which is one of the reasons why I like it so much, because I can do all this wacky stuff and do things to better my enjoyment of it.
That's actually one of the things like I really like about Dark Souls stream stuff, because even though I'm not personally into the games, like I do like the fact that there's so many different little categories, and I always think about like how you can like add like a little speed meta game to that too, and further freshen it up, and like I just find it so much like so cool like how many different routes there are, which is why I think it works so well as like a mainstream game for so many people.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm honestly amazed that you know, it's doing so well on Twitch, because most single player action RPGs historically perform really poorly on Twitch. At least after the like the freshness wears off. But you know, the wonderful thing about well, it's kind of like it falls into this category of games where you make your own fun, and that's like so cool to me. Like I love that.
Yeah, it's super super open ended. Now, where would you kind of like view like in terms of, like the Souls games? Like a lot of people say Bloodborne's the easiest. Like, would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely not. But that's only because I started with Dark Souls 3, and to me, Dark Souls 3 is the easiest.
Thank God.
Of all of them. But God, like Bloodborne just like did mean things to me.
Me too.
Oh man. It's all dependent on people's play styles and how they, you know, how they choose to play the game and stuff like that. And I don't know. It's a different experience for every single person, I've noticed. So it's hard to say like what's the easiest, what's the best, etc.
I know, like the thing with like Souls too is like I feel like Souls is like the closest you can get to having like almost like a multiplayer game sort of like longevity on Twitch, just watching it.
Yeah, it really does kind of feel like an anomaly in that way. Just because the nice thing is you can go into any Dark Souls stream and you will see something different on every single stream most of the time. It kind of depends. If you've got like the only exception to that I would say is speedrunning, because a lot of the times with speedruns, it's the same route every single time. But there's a bit of excitement in that because you don't know if somebody's going to get world record and stuff like that. So that has its own little inherent excitement as well. But, there's a comparison I want to make, because I mentioned that Souls kind of has this making your own fun quality to it. And this is probably the most bizarre comparison I could make, but it reminds me of Minecraft in that way, where it's like there's not a lot of direction, and if you're gonna have a good time, you need to make it for yourself in a way.
Oh no, I get where you're coming from coming with that. I do think, Dark Souls obviously has a lot more direction than something like Minecraft, unless you're going for the ending or whatnot. But there is like a lot of like loosey-goosey nature to Dark Souls and Bloodborne. Just like how Minecraft is kind of like do whatever you want. And that's kind of like it is definitely a very, very cool thing to think about, especially when you look at like Dark Souls as someone that's never played it before, really got heavily into it. Because like from my perspective, like when I play those games, I'm like, I'll play it for like 20 hours, 30 hours, finish it up if I really want to try. And then, I'd be done with it. But then there are all these people that just kind of go on it for like hundreds of hours. Like how many hours do you have across all the Souls games?
Oh God, this is a scary question. Let me think. So the problem with Steam is that Steam doesn't track your hours if you play in offline mode, and because I'm doing challenge runs, I play in offline mode, so I can't be invaded. But so Dark Souls 3 is the one I've played the most, and when it was last tracked, I had played 666 hours of it. And then since then, I've probably played 200 or 300 hours offline. And then Dark Souls 1 and 2, I honestly, like all the other games, I haven't really played that much of. They're really good games, but obviously I've been sucked into Dark Souls 3 for a while now. So I would say probably like 12 or 1300 hours across the series, which is it's not a ton.
I mean, comparing to like what I've done in some games, like Dead by Daylight, it's not that bad. That's not much.
It doesn't even hold a candle to my most played game, which I don't know if I should be embarrassed about. No, I won't be embarrassed. No, there's no reason to be embarrassed, dude. But Hearthstone is my most played game, and I have about 5,000 hours in that game over the course of like probably 4 years.
That's a lot. It's a good amount. That's matching my hours. Like I can't even judge. I mean, Hearthstone has a lot you can do in it. There's a lot of
And the thing is, I could just pull out my phone while I was on the bus in college and just play on my phone, and I'd play during travel time, I'd play between classes, and then I would play when I got home. And it was like I played a lot of Hearthstone because I was trying to get to legend and trying to get better and trying to get card packs, and I was definitely like super addicted to it at one point. But I just burnt out on it, and now I don't play it at all anymore.
Yeah, but like what you just said there too is kind of like why Hearthstone gets so many hours out of so many people, because it's not a big commitment. Like you play for 20 minutes, you have a full match under there, you feel kind of content. It's not like you're opening up Dark Souls where you gotta like probably commit like at least an hour or two to it to like feel like you had a good session.
Yeah, from a design perspective, it's really good because you can. I mean, it's perfect because you can just invest, like you said, 20 minutes into it and be done, and just little bits at a time, and it adds up.
I'm gonna like admit something to you though. I'm so bad at trading card games that it took me like 2 hours to get through like the oh my god, the Hearthstone tutorial. I can't do TCGs. I can't do it. I try.
It takes like a different type of thinking. So okay, with that in mind, how do you do at other like strategy games, like multiplayer strategy games? Maybe something like StarCraft.
I can't do StarCraft. I can't even figure out the objective.
Okay, I'm with you there.
I can't do RTS. I can't do card games. I love them. I love watching them. I can't do them. My mind's not like made for them.
Yeah, I don't know why Hearthstone was different for me, but usually I'm right there with you, where it's so much you have to pay attention to at the same time, and you don't have one like primary focus.
Yeah, I think my big thing is I'm very much like a reactionary sort of person, so like FPS and things of that nature make a lot more sense to me than like a pre-planning sort of thing, because I always think kind of in the now and maybe one move ahead and not like 4 or 5 ahead. And that's where I always like kind of fall victim to my own devices, my own strategies. Because I'm like,
Yeah,
this
so
sounds
it's
like a
like
great idea, and I never consider like what the opponent can put on me in return.
yeah, the response. It's like reactive versus proactive, right?
Yeah.
So do you think you enjoy like that reactive gameplay a lot more?
I love reactive kind of gameplay. Like, I'm always playing
Yeah.
an FPS. I mean, Dead by Daylight, my main game is completely reaction. There's, like, no preemptive
Well,
striking there.
I feel like I would argue with that a little bit and say that to some extent you have to know like, oh, this survivor could be on this gen, so I need to go proactively check that gen, or like map positioning. And I feel like there's stuff where with time you just get this awareness and things become more proactive.
It's kind of like tricky to like even say that, because the thing is with like Dead by Daylight especially, you don't actually need to have that sense if you don't want to, because there are perks that like literally do it for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That
they're
makes
like
sense.
actually perks like where you'll hook someone and you'll see exactly what gens are like people are on. You're like, okay,
Oh, dang.
la di
Okay.
da. So like, but I feel like because I've been playing since before that, to an
Yeah.
extent you were right, like way back, and I do kind of like have that sense now because I've played the game for so long that I can kind of tell you where people are going to be, what time things are going to be up. But I think
Right.
the closest you're going to have to be, like, in order, the closest thing there is, I feel like, in that game to preemptively knowing what's going to happen is kind of like counting like 80 seconds in your head and being like, it's been 80 seconds and objective's probably going to finish. It's likely going to be over here. But a
Gotcha.
lot of the stuff you get in that game is kind of like stuff you pick up as the game advances.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of that stuff is going to be subconscious. Things like, just knowing the layout of the map and where pallets can spawn and gens
Yeah.
and stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think a thing too is because I play the game so much that I don't even think about what I'm doing, which I think is a point you also kind of brought up a little bit. So maybe there is more thought to it than even like I think, but because I do it so much that I just think it's a nothing sort of like skill.
Yeah. That's always been a big that's one of the things, one of the reasons why I've never gotten into Dead by Daylight is that my spatial awareness and my map awareness in video games is non-existent. It plagued me when I played League of Legends way back in the day, which I probably am not old enough to say that yet, but
Not at all.
and since then, like, map awareness has always been my weakest point in any competitive multiplayer game. So now I just play single player games and try to be competitive at that, and that's fun for me, I guess.
Dude, single player is amazing. Rock the single player.
I like it. I like it. And it's cool because it feels like I'm competing against myself,
Now, is there like anything modern multiplayer that like you do play, or are you just like 100% always single player?
Oh gosh, let me think. I mean, there's co-op stuff that I play with my friends offline and stuff like that. But nothing like, I don't play any competitive multiplayer games, no. Like I've pretty much, I've not like sworn off them, but I just like stopped having fun with them. They were just taking up too much of my time, and actually, okay, this is kind of a good segue into like where my name comes from. And it's not that I never ever get mad, it's that I just don't do things that make me mad. It's just that simple.
Is that simple?
As soon as I start getting frustrated, I stop playing the game. Because, like, I don't know. I don't have the patience to put in the hours to make something fun that doesn't inherently feel fun for me.
Oh no, I get that. I think one of the worst things someone can tell you, or like at least tell me, like when I'm playing a game, is don't get discouraged. It gets good like 6 hours in, and I'm like, that's like a full school day's worth of time before I start
But what if
maybe
it
having
got
fun.
good earlier than that?
Oh, this TV series is really good. Just ignore the first season. It'll be good by season 2. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, right? Like,
I hate that so much.
oh, man. Okay.
I give like every game like an hour grace period.
Yeah, and if it's not good, but you don't want a game to waste your time, basically.
Yep.
Okay, I want to ask you, what do you think about Death Stranding then, with that in mind?
Okay, so here's the thing. I've ignored everything about Death Stranding because I'm waiting for it to come to PC, because I go into everything as blind as I can. I don't watch trailers. I don't look at previews. I kickstarted Shenmue 3 4 years ago. I have over 150 unopened Kickstarter emails showing me the progress of the game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really smart, honestly.
I don't like seeing
do
stuff.
you do that same thing with like movies too?
Yep.
Do you like complete? Okay, I actually do the same thing, and it's made watching movies a lot more enjoyable. Just to like not know anything about it going in.
The most I'll do with a movie is read the 1 sentence synopsis from like IMDb. That is the most I'll do.
Yeah, that makes sense. That way you at least know what it's about.
Yeah, because I kind of got sick of like so many movie trailers kind of showing like ending scenes or like all like the really cool stuff in the trailer, and you're like, that's the cool trailer part, and then everything else around it is just fluff.
There was a movie that came out recently, and I don't remember which one it was, but the trailer was basically scenes from the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and watched the movie, and I realized, like, dude, the trailer actually spoils a ton, and it's like that's not cool, right?
Yeah, I can think of one movie in the last few years that actually showed the ending scene in the trailer, and when I watched the trailer, like after I watched the movie, I was appalled.
Do you know which movie it was off the top of your head? We might be thinking of the same
Jurassic
thing.
World: Fallen Kingdom.
Okay, see, I've never seen any of the Jurassic World movies, so never mind.
First Jurassic World is good. Fallen Kingdom, I mean, we just pretend it didn't happen.
That's pretty on par with what I've heard. Maybe one day I'll come back around because I like Chris Pratt, and you know.
I would say watch the first Jurassic World. If you can like suspend your disbelief and openly accept that some stuff is a little bit stupid and doesn't make sense, like the first Jurassic World's not bad. I mean, it's a movie about like theme park dinosaurs anyways, like who cares?
Yeah.
You can get a little bit stupid. Just avoid Fallen Kingdom.
Okay.
Just don't do it.
Keep that in mind. Unless I get curious, unless I'm like, sometimes curiosity killed the cat and I just, you just gotta look, right?
Yeah, no, the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is the only Jurassic Park film or Jurassic film that I have not watched more than once.
Oh man. So
all the other ones at least 10 times.
Follow-up question. Do I need to have seen the original Jurassic Park films?
One, yes. Because Jurassic World is almost like a direct continuation of World. World is almost a direct continuation of Park. Because Hollywood's been doing that thing lately where they're like, all the sequels don't matter, but we're going to make a sequel to the very first film in the series and just try this again.
So strange.
It's been a reoccurring theme nonstop in Hollywood lately.
Yeah, it really has.
I mean, Halloween did it too.
You gotta go do your homework to watch the movie.
I'm trying to think of like the other film that did this actually. Because Halloween did it, but there was another film that came out recently that did this.
Doctor Sleep, is that what it was?
No, Doctor Sleep is just
to The Shining.
Yeah, but Shining never had a sequel. We're talking about like films that had like multiple sequels, and then they just put out a brand new one and just called it the brand new number 2. But I can't remember what other film did this. It was really weird.
The problem is I don't know anything about film. I'm like somebody who's passionate about movies that's never seen most classic movies, like Jurassic Park as an example. So I've got to like make a list of movies I need to go back and watch.
Yes.
My film knowledge is lacking.
So I'm just gonna throw this out there. Jurassic Park is likely my favorite film of all time. So you should give it a shot. I feel like that is a film that will just kind of like hook you in, and I feel like Jurassic Park's a really kind of cool thing to go back to. Because Jurassic Park, I think, still has some of the best CGI ever done in a film, and we're looking at a film that's like 26 years old now.
So I did see the very first Jurassic Park movie, but I know there's a few of them, and the effects hold up so well because they have this like beautiful melding of CGI and practical effects.
Yes,
that makes everything so believable, and I've been wanting to go back to that for so long in like modern movies, because I think it would, you look at Jurassic Park and you compare it to the CGI of something like Avatar, and Jurassic Park looks better. Like it holds up better.
Because they only use CGI like where you need it, so like your eyes still seeing stuff that was really there like on the camera, and like the CGI is like not very intrusive to like the overall structure of the scene. It's just there to fill in the gaps, which is like how I feel like it should be used. Yeah.
I feel like I remember hearing that the T-Rex was like super dangerous on set, actually.
Yes.
Like people got injured.
They were big. They were that was a big boyo on the set if you look at pictures.
Very large boy.
But I think they made like a bottom half and like a top half T-Rex and just CGI'd like the half they needed for the scene, if I remember correctly.
Just like put the legs in.
I can't remember like how they did it, but I feel like I don't remember. I don't want to.
Like, I bet there's like a documentary on it. Honestly,
there are. I just can't remember like how they set it up, but it was really, really cool. I love that film.
I mean, it took some imagination and it took some creativity to make things that weren't real come to life at that point.
In 1993, yeah. But like any medium, right, that kind of like goes way above and beyond like what, the standard is at that point just blows my mind. Like I'm sure I could probably think of games from like 93.
Star Wars.
Oh yeah, Star Wars. Went above and beyond in every single category besides script writing.
Yeah, yeah. But even then, they're still really enjoyable to watch. I know people have their issues with Star Wars, especially like the prequels. But I think that they're enjoyable to watch, especially if you don't take them too seriously, which is easier for me to do because I wasn't around when the original films came out.
Star Wars is like a weird case with me where I really only like one of the films and that's it, but I haven't watched any of the new one. I like Empire. That's like the only one I really like.
Okay.
I was definitely a Spaceballs kind of person.
Oh, so who directed Spaceballs?
Oh God, I kind of want to look it up now because John Candy was in it. I'm just trying to remember like all the Google. It was
Mel Brooks.
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to say Mel Brooks. I just didn't want to be wrong. I don't tend to enjoy Mel Brooks films, and I feel like the humor is just kind of lost on me for some reason.
So
like I watched Spaceballs and there were funny parts of it, but as a whole, I was like, I think I got kind of bored.
I mean, that's like understandable because like a lot of like Spaceballs humor too is either like right in your face, kind of like slapstick, or it's just kind of like one of those like, oh, did that just kind of like happen sort of joke. Like it's just there's a very weird flow between like just kind of like the joke telling in it, but like it clicked with me personally.
I'm thinking I should like go back and watch some of them again because there was a point where I definitely took myself too seriously and I like, wanted to be a big old mature grown up adult, and I was like, this humor is for kids or something like that, and I think it would be fun to go back with my now adult mindset of I will laugh at the most inappropriate jokes.
I mean, dude, you can try. Like, maybe you'll like enjoy it. I don't know. Like, I feel like Spaceballs is like one of the very few comedies I can actually enjoy.
Yeah, I feel like Mel Brooks is kind of hit or miss for people too.
I mean, like any comedian, I feel like is.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Unless you're Adam Sandler, who is like 100% miss for the last 15 years.
Yeah. I don't even have anything to add to that.
Nothing.
It's just, yep. That sounds about right. It's kind of sad too, because of like I want Adam Sandler in his prime again. Here's
the thing. I've gone back and rewatched some Adam Sandler in his prime stuff. It's aged terribly. It's aged terribly.
That's not the most surprising. Maybe Adam Sandler's been doing the same thing and everyone else has just kind of moved on.
I 100% feel like that's the case, unless we talk about Jack and Jill, which is a completely different story. That was just bad.
There are two Adam Sandler films that I feel like are definitely bad that I actually really enjoyed. One of them was 50 First Dates.
I was actually about to say 50 First Dates is like the only good Adam Sandler film that holds the test of time.
Like, I actually really liked that movie.
I think it's great.
I'm gonna level with you. I forgot the title of the other one, and it just left my brain entirely. So let's say it's just 50 First Dates.
I mean, I could just rapid fire Bedtime Stories, Click, Punch Drunk Love.
Click. It was Click. Holy shit, you did it.
Easy.
My God, I liked Click too. I think Click was also bad, but I don't know. I watched it during some like formative years in my life, whenever like my sense of humor was still being formed, and the things that I enjoyed were still being formed. And I think that as a result, I just thought it was funny because that's what I was watching.
See, I have like no memories of Click whatsoever. I just remember that it existed, and I remember a lot of people kind of hating it, but you had like that very like vocal like minority that really loved it.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler
I mean,
makes people like, you know, he divides
oh,
people.
he's polarizing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But in retrospect, the movie was a comedy for 3/4 of the movie, and then an absolute tragic drama for the last like 30 minutes, and it was just depressing as hell. And then it kind of wraps up at the end. So I mean, like from a writing standpoint, I think it didn't really know what it wanted to be, but I still enjoyed it.
And here's like a thing that kind of like applies to, like, a lot of actors, especially Adam Sandler as well, is whenever they do like a serious role, like Adam Sandler in Punch Drunk Love or like the ending of Click, everyone just kind of sees them as like the funny comedy man. So like when you have him do a
Yeah,
completely different role, like no one can take it seriously or kind of get into it. It would be like
right,
trying to cast, I don't know, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like in this like really, really just dead serious, non-actiony kind of role.
right.
Like it just doesn't work.
But then, occasionally you get the actor where it does work. Like I'm gonna circle back to Chris Pratt, where like he was doing, his role, his typecast was he was the chunky comedy dude, and then nowadays he's doing Marvel. He's jacked, and people, he's still the funny guy, but like he does some serious roles pretty well now, and that's more of a testament to like his talent as an actor, I feel like.
Some actors can just like do anything, and it's
Yeah.
friggin' wonderful. And then you have like other actors that like, you know, can only do that serious role. Like one of my favorite actors is Daniel Day-Lewis. But like you can't
I don't know.
typecast him in anything but like a very, very serious film.
I got to look up Daniel Day-Lewis now so that I can.
Um Lincoln, There Will Be Blood, he had a little bit of Gangs of New
Ah,
York.
yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, complete method actor. Stays in character the entire time the thing's being filmed.
Oh man, method
Yeah.
acting is like it freaks me out so much.
Same thing.
The best actors are method actors, like through and through, I feel like. But that scares the crap out of me, dude. Especially when they're playing like a psychopath or something. It's pretty spooky stuff.
I Anyone that can like stay into a character and like live that character like always gets huge respect out of me. That's actually a big thing like within
Yeah.
pro wrestling as well. Like once you're that character, like you stay as that character. So like
Right.
I kind of gravitate towards like method acting quite a bit, but I would never want to be near a method actor as they're in
Right.
character. I couldn't do
So
it.
I'm actually really glad you brought up wrestling because I've never watched wrestling in my life ever, and I would love if you could if you could describe wrestling to somebody that's never watched it before, describing it for what it really is, rather than just this whole like, oh, it's just guys, like sweaty guys punching each other, and like the stuff that I've heard basically.
All right, so pro wrestling is basically performance art. So you got to take like improvised acting because a lot of wrestling is purely improvised. Like the athletic competition, like while the results of like wrestling are known, like to the performers beforehand, pretty much everything in a match is done on the spot and improvised, which I think is a very very key aspect of wrestling. They'll know like how they're gonna finish the match, but like how they like fill up 30 minutes is just on the fly, which is
Yeah,
really
it's
really
like
cool to see.
improv.
But then you also have like the storylines going at the same time. Like, why are these people fighting? Who are these
Right.
people? Like, you can look at Mark Calloway, known as the Undertaker, right? And he
Mm.
has the important job of selling you that he is actually a dead man who has wizard powers and a brother he burned to death in a funeral home. And like he has to like sell you that this character is actually real in front of a live audience, and he has to put together his move set and do these matches in a way that makes you go, this guy is like actually really dead and I am watching him perform.
Yeah.
What even is this? And I feel like that's
It,
just the beauty of it.
The way, like, the comparison I'm gonna make is it's almost like a live action like Dragon Ball Z, where like, oh, he's going Super Saiyan, you know, he's going like he has this thing he's gonna do and he's gonna be super powerful, and it's like, or like you know, I kind of want to compare it to like the Marvel universe in a way where, you know, these storylines sound so outlandish,
They
but they
are,
really sell it.
but I think one of the cool things about wrestling too, especially like in modern wrestling, is everyone knows it's fake now. Like everyone knows, like, you
Yeah.
know, knows that. So they kind of bring the real life drama of that industry into the actual storylines, and they try and blur the line of like what is real and what is fake, especially in
Yeah.
terms of character motivation. One of the biggest storylines of like the last decade is CM Punk, the Summer of Punk 2011, which was CM Punk's contract for WWE was running out. That was a legitimate thing. And they gave him a microphone. And he talked about how WWE would be better once Vince McMahon is dead, but it probably wouldn't because it was going into his idiotic daughter and his doofus son-in-law, and like all this other stuff, and like how he can't wait to walk out, and he's gonna leave the company with the title, and they have him like just put the company on blast on live TV, and
Yeah.
these are like real raw emotions apparently, and like the contract expiring was a thing. Well, he ended up signing a brand new contract for his final match, but what happened was they had him win the title and leave the company with the title for a few weeks and really sell
Okay.
that this actually happened. So when he came back and there was a brand new WWE champion because they had to like put the vacant title on someone, you had this brand new drama just kind of form from that. And now you have the returning guy that was super disgruntled versus the fake paper champion. And like they'll do storylines like that where you just kind of go, this is really, really cool. And I had no idea
Yeah.
this is going to happen.
I mean, it's creative writing. It's actually like very well done from what I hear.
Depending on the promotion you watch, yeah, like some storylines can actually go on like 15, 20 years before they actually final hit like that final moment. But like you never know when that final moment's going to be because every time you think the story's done, it just kind of comes back. Because wrestling is a never stopping, like always evolving sort of business because every week new content needs to be made, new stories need to continue. Like very similar to like maybe like a soap opera.
Yeah, and they really, I think that the fact that they sometimes completely embrace the ridiculousness of it all can, I don't know, I think it adds to it.
I love like when anything like embraces how ridiculous it is. I don't care if it's a movie, I don't
Yeah.
care if it's wrestling, I don't care what it is. I feel like when stuff gets self-aware sometimes, like that's like always like the best nods to like the fan of like who's watching, you know, or consuming it. So I always love kind of seeing that.
Right. I think for the longest time I didn't really respect wrestling as like a medium because I knew there were, well, I thought that there were people out there that thought it was real. And the thing is, there is a real element to it. Like, you know, these people are going through a lot of physical stress, you know, on this, you know, in the ring. You know, these people are genuinely very strong and fit, and like they are actually hurting each other sometimes. But there's a lot more that goes into it than that. You know, there's the outcome of the match, there's the writing, there's the storylines, and I think I respect it a lot more now, kind of knowing what I do.
I just like really respect like the work ethic and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Because like they're on the road usually like 250 to 300 days a year. So like you're going from town to town, getting your ass kicked, go back to the next town, like you don't have time to like recover, and like your life is your job basically. And like I can like really respect like that entire work ethic. And I don't know, it's kind of like the work ethic like I kind of want to have too. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's like the unseen things when it comes to wrestling, I think are part of the reason like it is so it is such a respectable thing, and it's actually pretty cool.
So here's like gonna be a
There's a
little,
lot going on behind the scenes.
oh, a lot. I was actually gonna try and segue to a little question for you with this.
Okay.
What is like an interest that you have that you feel like is really misunderstood, or like you kind of like wish more people knew about or had like a better idea of?
Oh, this is a hard question.
I know it's a hard question.
Because there are a couple of things that my mind kind of gravitates to. Okay. This is kind of one that's more music related, and I've got a couple of things in mind, and maybe I'll bounce around to them as we go on, just depending on how the conversation goes. But the one that comes to mind is honestly like metal, because like really heavy metal music, where there's like the growling and the screaming and stuff like that. I think that gets some hate because it's very abrasive to your ears. Like it really is. But whenever you listen to it as like you listen to it for all the instruments that are at play, including the vocals, it becomes something totally different, because a whole lot of talent goes into that. A whole lot of talent goes into that when it comes to playing the instruments, to being able to make your voice do the things that these vocalists are doing without just completely wrecking yourself. It's amazing. And looking at it through that lens, I've kind of grown recently to really enjoy it a lot more.
Like you kind of like nailed it. Like what I was like about to say too is just like the amount of practice and the amount of talent it takes to kind of like do harsh vocals and not completely ruin your voice for life is something to commend, even if you're not into it.
Oh yeah.
Now, like, what's the heaviest like band you listen to currently?
I don't actually listen to a lot of heavy stuff, but I've just been very, very recently listening to stuff more. Gosh, I actually need to think about this for a second. There was some stuff that you sent me a while back, actually. I'm struggling to come up with names, but I'll give you names of like some of kind of my introduction to metal. There was Killswitch Engage. Killswitch Engage was probably my very first, like, I guess, metalish band that I listened to. And then, I need to Google this because I can't remember which band it is off the top of my head. Well, who's it by? There's a song called Ouroboros that I'm thinking of that I really like, and I don't know who it's by. It's gonna kill me because it's definitely on the tip of my tongue.
Same thing with me. I'm trying to think of like introductory metal bands like Killswitch and stuff. I'm thinking like maybe like Opeth or.
It wasn't Opeth,
Mastodon.
though I do really want to listen to Opeth.
Opeth is pretty great.
All right, I'm literally opening up Spotify.
Do it. Because I've been like out of like the really, really heavy scene for a while. Like the really heavy stuff. One of my favorite bands used to be Behemoth, who are very, very heavy.
Really?
And one of the best bands I've ever seen live.
Like, okay, I used to listen to a lot of really heavy stuff. There was like Lamb of God I used to listen to a lot, and this was in like middle school and early high school. I listened to a lot of heavy metal, and then I just kind of fell out of it and started listening to hip hop, and I started listening to EDM and dubstep, and then I got into like really just mellow kind of instrumental beats. Is kind of where I'm at now, and it's actually pretty representative of how like my personality has changed over time as well. Wow, there's a lot of metal songs that are titled Ouroboros.
Doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me at all. I don't know why I didn't think he was like a dubstep person either. So we'll get into that in a second.
Phases of everything, honestly. The band, they have a lot of music about like environmentalist themes, honestly. But that's all I can really think to describe them. It's killing me that I can't think of it, but we might have to just move on.
Might just have to move on.
Yeah,
that's good.
I'll think of it later. I'll like be in the shower and I'll think of it and just kick myself.
And like when it comes to like EDM and dubstep and stuff, I know nothing but like Skrillex and like Deadmau5.
I listened to a lot of Skrillex whenever he first got big. Nowadays, going back and listening to it, I don't actually like it that much anymore.
So
Skrillex, but I think there's a go ahead.
So I was gonna say like Skrillex kind of blew my mind, actually. But because Skrillex, I found out, was the old lead vocalist of my old favorite band in high school, who was a
No way.
post-hardcore from first to last, like super emo band. I still listen to him like all the time. And then I wondered like what happened to Sonny Moore, the lead singer. He became Skrillex and became like a worldwide sensation.
That's pretty cool.
And now he's back in from first to last.
Really? I didn't know he got back into that.
He's recorded a few new songs. I don't know if they're doing a full new album or not, but they did record a few new songs that they released already.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he kind of filled out his role on dubstep, and I think he had a huge influence in that genre of music. He was like one of the first big artists. So it's cool to see him like go on to something else and change things up a little bit as well. He's always been pretty innovative with his music, I feel like.
He is, and I believe he actually went over to dubstep like after leaving from first to last because like he was actually hurting his voice doing like harsh vocals and stuff.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's kind of like come back, and it doesn't sound like as harsh as it used to, but like I think he's a lot smarter now, like with how he does stuff. Because from first to last, he was 16 when he was releasing albums.
He can probably afford a vocal coach now to, teach him like how. I mean, I'm sure he knows now, but like how to actually do that in the proper way, and then let your voice recover afterwards.
Skrillex affording stuff, that's nonsense.
No, that's absurd. You're right. I don't know what I was thinking. But I think there are so many cool parallels that you could draw between dubstep and metal. Particularly with like, there's that signature like wub wub sound that I feel like nowadays doesn't get a whole lot of like, it doesn't get a whole lot of love anymore. But it sort of falls into the same category of this harsh sound, or there are some harsh sounds that show up with dubstep that are like, from a technical standpoint, very interesting.
Now, what would you like? Who would you say like has probably like the most like technical or like must listen to, like anything within that genre?
Well, I'm not very knowledgeable about dubstep anymore because I really stopped listening to it. The last dubstep I listened to was definitely like back in high school. And then since then I've listened, like I just started listening to really super mellow, like either instrumentals or like. I got into drum and bass at one point, which I really enjoyed. And then, but with dubstep, I listened to some Skrillex. I listened to, the thing with dubstep is a lot of it was just remixes of stuff, from like one-off artists that, you would hear their remix of a Flight Facilities song and like not hear them again. Like there's I don't know if you've heard the Flight Facility song Gold Dust, but not Gold Dust. That's a different dubstep song. I'm all over the place right now.
Sorry, so am I.
Keep my music straight. But yeah, it just goes to show like it was just these one-off remixes from various artists. There weren't a whole lot of like you need to listen to this one artist, I feel like.
So I'm not weird for like knowing like literally nobody in that entire scene then.
No, I don't think so. I'm sure there are other people that are going to be like, oh, if you like dubstep, you need to listen to these artists. But as somebody that really just, had like a phase of dubstep, I couldn't name very many off the top of my head.
And if you're like into like just like more kind of like calm instrumentals and whatnot, I have a band to throw at you after this whole recording's done, because I would love to get your take on it.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I love music, and I'm trying to broaden my musical horizons lately. So
I know a instrumental band that does metal, but it's all with cellos.
You have described probably my ideal band right now. So
cello metal.
I'm getting tingly feelings, Alex. Cello is the only sound that creates an ASMR response for me. Fun fact.
Now, would the ASMR response be ruined with like drums in the background?
Nah, yeah. I think it would be totally cool. And I love instrumental metal stuff. So, like, I think vocals are probably my least favorite part of a lot of metal. And I love instrumental stuff.
I'm kind of like the same way these days, because I listen to like music kind of like wind down and like relax now. So like when I have those harsh vocals, It's really, really tough for me.
I mean, they're there to like, a lot of times they're there to amp you up. And a lot of times when I'm listening to music, most of the time I'm not looking to get amped up. I bet that would be some great like workout music though.
Oh, metal's great for that.
Yeah.
But like these days, I like trying to like wind down.
Yeah.
The stresses of adulthood kind of keep
I
you wound
know.
up.
We're slowing down, Alex, at the old age of mid-20s.
I'm getting to those late 20s.
That's true.
Actually, no,
My
I am
gosh.
late 20s. I just had to think about that, and now I'm kind of scared.
Actually certified old.
I feel old.
I'm still like I am under no illusions that I am a tiny baby. I feel like I'm definitely one of the I don't know if I'm one of the younger Mellow Fellows, but I feel like it's very common that people will be like, "Oh my God, you're making me feel old right now," because like, I'm 23. There's a lot of stuff from the early 90s that I never experienced whatsoever, and even the late 90s because I was too young to understand.
I thought you were older.
Nope, 23.
Wow.
But then like I think people are surprised by that because I'm also married and like I don't know.
Yeah, no, like I always took you as like mid-20s, late 20s.
Nope, I'm a tiny baby.
I'm like the veteran right now.
Yeah, it's true.
And everyone thinks like I'm a tiny little baby, and it's like, no, I'm like 28.
I'm gonna be coming to you for life advice, Alex.
Dude, I don't have much life advice. I can tell you how to play video games on the internet and how to fix a bowling machine. That's about it.
Okay, I might ask you about the bowling machine?
The bowling pin setter, yeah.
Oh, wow, okay. That's right, you worked in a bowling alley.
Yeah, I was a mechanic.
My God. That's kind of awesome.
It was quite the career shift for me, let me tell you.
Yeah. I don't know why that sounds so freaking cool to me, but it does. I think that's really cool.
Because like you're kind of like left to your own devices. Like you just kind of like sit like out back, wait for things to break. You just kind of watch things work. And I kind of like love doing that. Like I love watching things just kind of work and see like how all these mechanisms kind of flow together.
Plus, I think whenever you're in a bowling alley, or at least when I'm in a bowling alley, it kind of just all seems to work by magic. You don't really see anything behind the scenes. You just see like, you throw the ball magically comes back to you, the pins magically stand back up.
If you like knew like what those machines were, like you'd be mind blown.
I'm gonna choose to believe that you're actually just a wizard, and there's no machines. You just wave your magic wand and things happen.
Dude, those machines at bowling alleys are usually about like 60 years old.
I believe it. I believe that.
They're 60 years old, all refurbished parts, all basically falling apart. And the people that have to fix them basically break their backs and just get the whole angry customer treatment if it takes you like more than a minute to quickly fix it. It's a lovely thing.
Which job do you think has been harder on your back, streaming or the bowling alley technician mechanic?
See, I'm really comfy streaming. Like I'm really, really comfy with it. Even though I had to sit down for long hours. And like actually right now as we're speaking, my sciatica is like really, really kicking off bad from like sitting down much. Like I've been struggling to get out of bed. I actually can't even sit in my car right now. Like I can't get in my car.
God, back problems are the worst.
Yeah, it's awful. But I would rather have this than the old bowling alley job where I had to kind of like contort myself into a pretzel to like get into a machine. And there was a machine to like oil the lanes that weighed 400 pounds that I solo had to move around. And
it's like the bowling alley equivalent of a Zamboni.
It kind of is. There was stuff to like help us move it around a little bit, but it was 380 pounds with all the tanks in it empty and about 400 filled up.
Jesus. Did you just have to manually push that down the lanes, basically?
Thankfully, the one before I left the alley was actually automatic. You'd just had to position it on the first lane and say, I want you to go from 1 to 32 and you're heading right, and it would just automatically do that and know the perfect spacing, which was good.
My gosh. I'm sure there were some like older veterans I don't know if there's like a large group of people that had that job, but I'm sure that the veterans were like, back in my day, we had to manually push these things up and down the lanes.
Probably.
And we liked it.
Probably, but here's the thing, and like a big reason like why I went to streaming like full time, like why I really took the jump. Where I was working, they were kind of chopping all the veterans off the payroll.
Oh, so they were
And I
just
kind of saw
slowly,
like the
one by
signs
one.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Like I survived, I want to say 19 or 20 firings in the span of 6 months.
That doesn't sound like that bowling alley was sticking around very long.
Um, they got new management before I left, and I guess things kind of like stabilized right after I left. But I just kind of like saw signs, and I was like, I gotta get out of here. It's like all the good
Yeah.
veterans that I used to work with were gone. That could actually enjoy stuff like that.
Yeah. It'll be sad because I feel like bowling alleys and the bowling alley arcades are going out of style. And I feel like they're gonna start closing down at some point, and that's gonna be really sad to see.
So the one I actually worked at, super popular.
Really? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, we had 64 lanes, but we actually shut down 8 of them to make an arcade.
Gotcha.
So like during the
Are
winter,
they
like
like
we
cool
full
arcade
house.
games?
No, it was actually an awful arcade. They put like the
Okay.
Mario Kart game in there, and they put like like your basketball hoop ones, and like your skee ball and air hockey, and just like very basic generic stuff.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed with it.
So I had there in my town growing up, we had a place called Main Event, and I think it's a chain, so you probably y'all may have heard of it, but uh it was just another bowling alley arcade, and the arcade games were really good. They were like really, really good. It was all the classics and then a bunch of other good ones. They had like Guitar Hero, and they had I don't know, it was just a bunch of really good stuff. I went I guess it was like a year or two ago, and they had replaced most of the cool old kind of retro arcade games with uh they basically have these giant touch screens, and it's just blown up versions of phone apps. They've got
Yeah,
Fruit Ninja, they've got Flappy Bird, they've got like all this just crap, and I'm like, I'm not paying $1.20 to play Fruit Ninja on a giant screen.
I have such a huge problem with those because I feel like it gets people's interest really quick for like a quick play, but it's never gonna get people back in that building to go back to those
Yeah,
machines. Whereas if you
yeah,
put stuff like House of the Dead and like Tekken and whatnot, like you might not get as much interest from like people kind of walking through, but you'll get people going back to that arcade time and time again that fall in love with those games. Like no one's gonna be
right.
paying $1.25 for Fruit Ninja. I'm sorry, nobody.
Exactly. You can play it on your phone.
Exactly. Like arcades are really tailored towards like I think like a more hardcore kind of like gaming sort of audience, along with like your more
Yeah,
basic kind of like basketball hoop game, like your air hockey. That'll always get people, but like the actual video games, you need like those games that are going to get people playing like 20, 30 different rounds of them and not just one or
yeah.
two.
It definitely seems like at least I don't know. I guess they're trying to cater it more towards young kids, which is they're an arcade. That's fine and good. You gotta do what you gotta do to stay afloat. But it's definitely sad to see that happening and to see all the beloved games that whenever I went there just kind of get rotated out.
But I mean, like, do you think it's like really like appealing to young kids? Because I feel like every young
I
kid
don't
now has
know.
like a phone and like a tablet in their pocket, and they can just kind of play those on their phone. And mother's not going to want to
These
pay $2 for him to play one.
these Zoomers, man. I don't know. I'm
I
I'm
don't
out of
know. Like
touch.
I'm out of touch too, honestly. So like I just don't know like the viability of it.
Maybe the novelty of a giant Fruit Ninja is enough to
Maybe.
pique somebody's interest.
I might just be kind of like stuck in my ways. I kind of get like that a lot.
Yeah, I'm with you, honestly.
I'm a creature of habit.
What do you think about those? Those like weird roller coaster machine things where
Yes.
like, what do you think about those? Have you ever been in one of those?
Okay, so the only one I've ever done was actually this has been long closed down now, but Disney World had Disney Quest. I'm not sure if you know what that is or not.
I don't think I do. No.
Okay, so Disney World in the old downtown Disney, I think they call it Disney Springs, basically their entire like shopping area.
Okay.
They had a building called Disney Quest, and now mind you, this was like from like 1997 to like 2006 or seven, maybe 2008 they got rid of it. Where you could actually do like virtual reality and like build your own roller coasters or ride the carpet in Aladdin and stuff like that. Like it was early 2000s VR, and
Yeah.
with the roller coaster one, like they'd actually put you like in this gigantic machine. You'd build the roller coaster out of the machine so you could ride your own creation, and they would kind of like put you in VR and like you'd actually feel it because they had you like in mobile seats and they'd spin it and give you like real G-forces. It was so cool.
My first impression when you described that to me was like, it feels kind of dumb that they would have that in a place where you could go and ride a real roller coaster. But now that you've described it, I'm like, damn, that sounds pretty
Okay,
cool,
so
actually.
Downtown Disney isn't actually a theme park. Like, you don't have to pay to go there. It is literally just like a
Oh, you can just go
gigantic like
visit.
outside shopping center. Yeah, and they had like Cirque like Olay there and stuff like that.
Well, that's cool. Yeah.
And bars and whatnot. It was just kind of like Disney owned property where they just put a bunch of stuff in there, and Quest was one of them. And you pay like
Dang,
I think like
I'm
15 or 20
to,
bucks.
I'm like bummed I missed out on that. My God.
It's really cool. For me at the time, it was really cool.
So I didn't go to Disney World ever until I was an adult. I was I guess I was 18 the first time I went, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And honestly, I'm definitely of the opinion that it would probably be more fun as an adult than as a kid.
Oh, 100%. I think theme parks as a child, kind of stupid.
Yeah, I mean, you can go on rides, but I don't know if it's just that you can't appreciate all of it as much as a kid, but I'm like, man, this was a blast as an adult.
I feel like, you know, all the imagery, like, you know, made for children, like in Disney World, like, it's really cool. And I think, like, even as an adult, it's really cool because you kind of get, like, that nostalgia bomb from it.
Yeah.
But being able to go on any ride you want, being able to buy food whenever you want, or travel wherever you want.
Totally self-directed, yeah.
Yeah, like, it makes it a lot better instead of, like, you know, being a kid. Yeah. Instead of just being a kid and just being restricted to like half the park and like you gotta wait for your parent to kind of like bring you from place to place, like being able to like have like the adult sort of mindset in these places, so good. The only thing that I hate is that since I last went to Disney World, all my favorite rides, like barring maybe one, have closed down.
Dang. What is your favorite ride at Disney, do you think?
My all-time favorite one was Great Movie Ride, which is now closed down.
Okay, yeah, I never got to go on that one. Was this a Hollywood Studios?
Yeah. And you just kind of like sit like in this big thing with like 50 other people, and you'd have like a tour guide like Jungle Cruise lead you through like classic movies.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
So you'd be going through like Singing in the Rain, you'd be going through Alien in the same show, Wizard of Oz, and there would be like this big scene. I forget what movie they did the big scene in, but there'd be like a bank robbery, and the robber would steal your tour guide, throw him off to the side, and now you're being directed through the movies by like the robber. God. And you have like this evil like gangster talking you through the movies.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it was really cool. And now like Hollywood Studios has like nothing to do with Hollywood anymore.
Well, now it's all Star Wars. Like literally, you cannot swing a stick without hitting somebody in a stormtrooper outfit.
Yeah, it's Star Wars. There's a Toy Story Land. You have Aerosmith and Tower of Terror. Yeah, when I last went, you have backlot tour to see like movie props. You have the Great Movie Ride. You have the Ultimate Stunt Show where you can watch people like in bikes and like cars do just like stunts like an actual movie scene and stuff like that. You have the Indiana Jones Show. Like it felt like you were actually watching or like being like part of like a movie park.
I feel like we've had two completely like totally diametrically opposed experiences of Disneyland, or Disney World, I mean, or at least in Hollywood Studios.
100% we've had like completely different experiences because of how much the parks have changed. Like when I last went, like there was no smartphone like compatibility. Like you weren't getting fast passes like that. Lines weren't like 6 hours a piece.
Dude, fast passes are incredible, I gotta say.
Fast passes are incredible, but like now it kind of stresses me out thinking about it because I know you need to use their phone app to like secure fast passes months in advance.
It also kind of feels like college registration, honestly.
Yeah, back when I last went, they had like these stands out, and it would say fast pass for this ride 3:30, and you put like your park ticket in, it would print it out, and like you'd be like, cool, I have this for 3:30 now. That's it. Like you just kind of see what the standby line was. You didn't want to do it. You just put your thing in the fast pass machine. You got it.
Back when times were simpler.
Way simpler, and I kind of really dig that system. And now just thinking about Disney World stresses me out, and I'd just rather do Universal.
Yeah, and it gets more and more crowded every year too, which is definitely a bummer. Dude, it's so crowded now. Nobody goes there.
They need to like just open up a fifth park.
Oh yeah, totally.
I don't know, like I love theme parks. I just love stuff like that. Now, what
Yeah,
was your favorite
it is
ride?
fun. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a super basic one, and it's Expedition Everest, I think is what it's called. Is that what it is? No,
The
Mount
no, it's
something.
Expedition Everest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, also known as the ride that had a broken animatronic 2 months after launch, and they never
Yep.
fixed it.
Yep. I love that ride. I don't know. It's just a good roller coaster. I was afraid of roller coasters my whole life because I went to parks that had rickety roller coasters that shook a lot and just were
Yeah,
genuinely kind of scary. Disney World roller coasters are smooth as heck and like just a joy to ride.
I kind of agree, and I love Universal Studio roller coasters as well.
I've never been to Universal Studios, so I can't really like give a insight on that.
Universal Studios Hulk roller coaster is one of the most menacing looking things, but it's one of the smoothest rides, and it's amazing.
Dude, I might have to go one day.
Universal, I think, is actually better than Disney in like almost every way.
Oh my goodness.
And you can do the entire like both parks like in the span of 2 days and feel like you missed nothing, but still wish you saw more at the same time. They're really good parks. Unlike
I
Six
mean, like,
Flags, which ugh,
oh, Six Flags is, I thought I liked it for a really long time, and then I went on other roller coasters that were and other rides that like were good, and then I was like, oh, Six Flags is kind of lackluster now.
I feel like I'm gonna die whenever I go to Six Flags. I actually feel like I'm going to die, and I don't feel safe going on the roller coasters anymore.
Yeah, they plus I mean, have you heard the news stories about people getting like horribly injured?
The roller coaster I like at Six Flags actually has multiple deaths from it.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, because they only give you a lap bar for a 200-foot drop.
My God.
Yeah, I rode that one last time, and I was like, cool. I don't think I'm gonna do this anymore. I actually see rust, so
Oh God.
I'm good.
Okay.
Hey, we didn't cut the podcast at all, and need to edit stuff out. Hey, what are we talking about, by the way?
I believe we were just talking about who had the most luxurious voice of the Mellow Fellows.
Most luxurious voice of the Mellow Fellows. All right,
Just
so
smooth, sultry, maybe not sultry, dulcet tones, etc.
I'm gonna have to go with Tug. Oh no, Gonzo.
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 I was honestly gonna be more partial to Grandma Blue Moon Raven.
Really?
She's got a lovely voice.
You like that like bingo styling?
Exactly. I'm going for the off meta choice.
I mean, off meta sometimes works really, really well.
Yeah.
Unless it's Tug, we just kind of keep that really off meta.
We can't compliment his voice.
We can't.
We'll never hear the end of it.
He has such a massive ego.
I'm actually scared for the day when he gets like a broadcast mic or like an XLR or something like that.
Dude, I'm scared if like he ever gets partner and like that goes even further to his head. I can't like even imagine.
I would be so happy for him, but we'd never hear the end of it.
Do you think like he'd like get like a sticker for like his child's bike that says "My dad's a Twitch partner"?
I actually kind of hope so. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd actually be amazing. Tug it on that.
And then we could have we should have an actual like competition. We should have a vote for like who has the best mellow voice, and we can have like everybody submit your applications or your contest submissions.
But I mean,
have everybody do a reading.
But I mean, Gonzo would just win. I'm sorry,
it's
but
true,
like,
he
I
would.
can't like, no matter like what the meta is, I'm
okay with a contest for second place.
That works too. I mean, it's weird that I'm like picking favorites, being like the leader of the team and all, but I mean, Gonzo wins.
I mean, nobody could be mad at you. How could you not pick Gonzo? He's beautiful. He's got a great voice. He's got a wonderful smooth head.
Oh, such a smooth head.
Could cook an egg on that thing.
Oh, easily. Dude, like, if you just freaking... I always say this, right? If you were to, like, hollow out his skull and just fill it with liquid and put, like, a little magic 8-ball thing in there, like, you could shake his head, it would be a really good magic 8-ball.
Oh, God. The imagery is incredible.
I know, I'm glad to give you that imagery.
I honestly, of all the things, of all the dreams and aspirations that I have, I think up at the very tippy top of my list is giving Gonzo a great big bear hug.
I mean, that's a reasonable thing. My big thing is I just want to put an egg on his head.
I think we could probably make both of those things happen.
And we also have to, like, dress him up as a French maid.
Sure, why not?
I mean, I think it would work.
I'm not gonna ask any more about that. I don't want to hear your fantasies, Alex.
I mean, it's not really so much of a fantasy, but I just feel like it's his calling.
Being a French maid.
Yes.
Okay, I could see it. We'll have to. Okay, I didn't get a chance to listen to the entirety of the first episode. Is this a thing that y'all have discussed? How does Gonzo feel about being a French maid?
We have actually not discussed this, but I feel like I've discussed the magic 8-ball with Gonzo before.
Good, okay.
But I feel like we're gonna throw a curveball at him. It might as well just be the French maid.
Might as well. So we should just bring the outfit, not actually worn him at all.
Exactly. I mean, like, he likes baseballs, so, like, curveballs just kind of work.
He'd be down for it, honestly.
100%.
Let's be real.
He's a good boyo. I mean, like...
Well, on that note...
I was going to say, like, everyone on the team's a really good boyo, or girlo, or tug.
True, yeah. And I actually do want to say, Alex, thank you for having me as a part of this wonderful, wonderful team. Everybody's so mellow and welcoming and lovely, and to those of you that are listening, you should absolutely check out everybody on the team. It's incredible.
I mean, I'm kind of biased myself, so I will just agree with everything you just said with that right there. You can check out everybody. They're really good, or tug.
Or tug, yeah.
Yeah, tug.
He's okay sometimes.
Every now and then. I mean, he's really just Mikey Venture number 2.
It's true, yeah. And he has terrible taste in weapons in Dark Souls.
And character design.
So we've learned a lot today.
We have learned a lot today. And that was like a fun little conversation as well.
Yeah, we okay, to wrap up, where have we what all have we touched on today? We've touched on skateboarding.
Yep. Music.
Movies.
Adam Sandler in particular.
You know, I do have one more question for you, and it's probably the lamest question I could come up with, but I think the answer to the question says a lot about a person.
Yep.
Flying or invisibility?
There's like so many, like, okay, I don't want to like be the one that goes like, yeah, but what are the conditions? But I need to know, do I get tired when flying? And can people kind of like bump into me if I'm invisible?
Gosh. Okay. We'll say yes to both.
Yes to both. All right. So I'd have to go invisibility just because if I get tired from flying, anywhere I'd want to fly, I'd get way too tired.
That's fair. Okay. Yeah.
Whereas I feel like
Sounds
invisibility,
good.
I can just kind of turn that on, do whatever, leave.
I feel like flying wouldn't work out to me. I'm too afraid of heights.
See, I'd be cool with it. Like, I can kind of deal with heights to an extent, but I feel like the places I want to fly to are way too far away.
You could just take it in bits and pieces.
I'd land in the ocean.
Oh, feels bad.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, that's all I got.
That's all you got? I feel like we kind of like touched upon like a lot of good stuff. I don't know if there's like any like last closing questions I have for you. You know what? If you had a closing question, let's go with a random closing question for you. What is the best gluten-free type of food?
Oh, this is such a good question. You don't want anything that is like kind of chewy and sticky. You don't want anything like a donut. That's like complete opposite end of the spectrum. You want something that's like flaky. There is a company that makes a gluten-free like croissant, and they make it from gluten-free wheat. How they do it, I have no idea, because wheat is kind of like, you know, like hand in hand with gluten. But that is like the best gluten-free thing I've ever had. It was this gluten-free croissant. I opened it up. I put some honey in there. It was just amazing.
Lovely. I don't know like how you do the gluten-free. I know you have to, but I love me some gluten-filled foods. So I'm glad you find some stuff that works for you, and that makes you quite happy.
It's inconvenient sometimes, but you live and learn, and you figure out how to deal with it. And honestly, I'm pretty happy with it nowadays.
I can see it. Getting used to it, getting adjusted.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that we kind of covered that, I just want to thank you for joining me on this lovely Mellowcast here.
Dude, thank you so freaking much for having me. It has been my pleasure.
You are quite the lovely guest. I would say you're easily in the top 2 we've ever had on this cast.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I'm flattered. I'm blushing right now. You can't see, but my face is completely red.
You know what? I live to do that for you. Not really.
Well, thanks, Alex.
Yeah, thank you again, and thank you all that were listening in on this lovely edition of the Mellowcast. I hope you enjoy what you listen to, and we'll have another nice mellow episode out whenever I'm not lazy and I record another one. So thank you all again, and Tiny, one more time, thank you for joining me. Have a good one, dude.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Actually, wait. Before we actually hit end recording, I was so rude. Can you like plug your stuff, like your Twitch and stuff, so people know where to find you? Yes.
My name is Josh. I run the Zero Salt Show. You can find me over at twitch.tv/ZeroSaltShow. And I play a lot of Dark Souls. Right now I'm working towards my very first ever hitless run in Dark Souls 3. Got really, really close yesterday. Got to the very final boss and I threw it because I wanted to make more content for Dark Souls 3. After Dark Souls 3, I'm probably going to move on to other stuff like Bloodborne, Sekiro, and definitely going to be doing some more challenge runs in the future. So I'm excited for that.
Awesome. And I am twitch.tv/AlexIsPlaying. I just drove a forklift for 5 hours in Shenmue, and I drink a lot of coffee, and I'm usually very, very tired. And Twitter Alex is updating. I do daily videos on YouTube, same name as well. And yeah, that's about like all my stuff as well. So now I feel like we just had the false ending, and this is like the after credits, and I feel like we can actually wrap up now. So
this is the bonus content.
Yeah, this is the bonus content. So let's end it here. Thank you all again, and Tiny, always great having you here this one time.
Great being here.